Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. The third elder revealed a slight smile on his face and said, "This kid is pretty good. At least the reward that we've offered is not wasted. I'll guide him well in the future." Nangong Wan laughed and said, "Third elder, don't try to pull that trick on me. I noticed this kid first. Spiritual calling is my thing. You already have so many disciples, but I don't even have one who'll inherit everything that I have. I've already discussed this with the vice-founder. The tournament is an additional test for him. I want to accept him as my inheriting disciple. Otherwise, why would I have asked the vice-founder to find this class 9 stationary soul cannon shell? I've already spent a lot of money. There's no way you can snatch him from me." The third elder snorted and said, "Don't forget, he's an outstanding soul engineer. He shouldn't be older than 24 or 25 years old, but is already as good as a class 6 soul engineer. If we continue to nurture him, he'll definitely become a class 9 soul engineer." The founder also mentioned before that the future will belong to soul engineers. While his soul master cultivation is pretty decent, he can't give up on soul tools. Why don't we both accept him as a disciple? He knew he couldn't win against his second brother, and thus he offered an alternative. Nangong Wan pondered for a moment before saying, "It's a plausible idea. However, he can only be my inheriting disciple. It's fine if you want to teach him some stuff, but we'll have to see whether his spiritual power is sufficient. Soul engineers will be the trend in the future, but soul masters are stronger for now. I've discovered that many academies have realized how important it is to combine both soul masters and soul tools." The third elder snapped, "Second brother, you are really calculating. You're asking me to teach him, but is going to be your inheriting disciple. HMPH. Nangong Wan laughed and said, all right. You must understand how I feel, too. When I accept him as my disciple, I'll get him to return the darkness green dragon." After hearing Nangong Wan's words, Mok looked very delighted and hurriedly said, "Thank you, senior uncle." Nangong Wan furrowed his brow when he looked at him and said, "Even if the darkness green dragon returns, you don't have the authority to possess it right now. You are too impatient. You'll need to train for a few years first. When we return, you should learn how to develop soul tools." Moku was stunned for a moment, then turned dismal. He looked at the third elder and softly said, "Teacher." The third elder snorted, "Your second senior uncle is giving you a chance this time. If you left it up to me, I'd confiscate the darkness green dragon from you forever." HMPH. After hearing the third elder's words, Mok didn't dare to say anything. They quickly left the Radiant City on their carriages. The Duskwater Alliance was the strongest of the 3 underground organizations, and thus they weren't too bothered with causing trouble as they rushed to their destination, charging along all the way there. The ordinary citizens avoided them when they saw the symbol on their carriages. Hui Yuhao's eyes were shut all the while. He didn't move at all. Hikaitu also didn't make a sound as he sat beside Hui Yuhao. Huangjing didn't try to start a conversation with them when he saw how they were composing themselves. Compared to the other carriage, they were much quieter. The carriage they were in also greatly reduced incoming external sound, and thus it was completely silent in their carriage. However, was Hui Yuhao really calm despite the silence? It was the exact opposite. Right now, he was trying to gather his spiritual power. In Hui Yuhao's spiritual sea, he had entered a miraculous state. Waves were surging furiously in his vast spiritual sea. The seawater had turned golden-silver after he completed the second awakening of his body-soul. Every time the seawater rose, the waves that it conjured stopped slightly. A 2-colored whirlpool would also appear occasionally. As the seawater rose, a white ball of light emitting a dim glow condensed in mid-air. This ball wasn't completely circular, but oval, like an egg. It was filled with the aura of life. There were a few figures drifting atop the water's surface in his spiritual sea. The Ice Empress still held the image of the Ice Jade Emperor Scorpion. However, her body was 100 feet long in this spiritual sea. Her dazzling diamond ice crystals and azure green tail were very splendid and eye-catching. The 8 to 9-year-old Snow Empress was standing beside the Ice Empress. She was already very pretty at this age. Her long, white dress was completely spotless, and she wore a captivating smile on her face. Occasionally, she would get closer to the Ice Empress and whisper a few words. The Ice Empress wasn't the largest figure. That was the Sky Dream Iceworm, who was lazily lying down in the spiritual sea. Hu Hao's spiritual power came mainly from the Sky Dream Iceworm. It was his presence that gave him everything that his spirit eyes possessed. Although his spiritual power had increased to an extremely high level, his compatibility with the Sky Dream Iceworm was still very high. The Sky Dream Iceworm was very comfortable as he lay in Hu Hao's spiritual sea. However, the Sky Dream Iceworm was in a rather bad mood right now. As he stole glances at the Snow and Ice Empresses, he felt a little indignant. After the ordeal that happened in the past, the Snow Empress had turned into a spirit, and he entered deep sleep with the Ice Empress. It was also at that point in time that his relationship with the Ice Empress got a little closer. However, the Ice Empress still seemed a little harsh, like she had been in the past, after she awoke. Even though the Snow Empress had lost most of her memories, she remained close to the Ice Empress instead of bothering with him. How could he not be depressed seeing that? Sky Dream, is it fine for Hu Hao to be like this? Will he be in any danger? The Ice Empress' voice was very captivating. The Sky Dream Iceworm lazily replied, "He'll be fine. His spiritual realm has reached the stage I was in at my strongest state. He has also fused with my spiritual power. Right now, the problem he has is that his body can't handle his spiritual power. He won't lack for power. He's just using his spiritual power to do things right now, and not directly attacking anyone. He'll be fine. He's only isolating a part of it right now. Even if it doesn't come back, it won't harm him." The Ice Empress snorted and said, "You don't seem to be anxious at all." The Sky Dream Iceworm replied, I don't even want to live anymore. What's there to be anxious about? Even if something happens to him, I'll just die with him." The Ice Empress was stunned for a moment. Don't want to live anymore. There's no one in this world who knows this logic better than you. Better a bad life than a good death. You've already lived for 1,000,000 years, but you are still entertaining such a thought. The Sky Dream Iceworm almost spat out blood. Ice, can't you treat me better? After all, we are of opposite genders. Nothing will happen between you and the Snow Empress. Why are you still pestering her? I've treated you so well. Let me tell you, I don't have anyone else that I like. I've already turned into Yu Hao's spirit. I've felt this spirit before. Even if something happens to me, it won't affect Yu Hao. Since you are so cold towards me, I might actually seek death one day. The Ice Empress snapped, "Don't pull this trick on me. Don't think that I'll like you just because you were being very righteous and brave then. Look at your foolishness. Iceworms were born to be the food of ice jade scorpions. You and I can never be together." The Sky Dream Iceworm didn't reply after hearing the Ice Empress' words. He lazily turned his head and didn't utter a word. There was a slight tremble of emotion in the Ice Empress' eyes. She lifted her tail to slap the spiritual sea. She seemed to be venting and exerting her dominance over the Sky Dream Iceworm. However, she didn't do anything to him. This fellow. Why should I like him? I'm an elegant ice jade Empress Scorpion. Why would I like an iceworm? The Ice Empress told herself. However, she was very frustrated by the Sky Dream Iceworm's silence. The Snow Empress stared at her with her big, beautiful eyes. The look in her eyes was very clear. The Ice Empress was in a daze. She recalled everything that had happened in Clear Sky Castle. She recalled too many things. She recalled how the Sky Dream Iceworm was so decisive, and the Snow Empress' last words. Don't tell me I've really. At this moment, the ball of light above the spiritual sea broke apart, and a projection rose from it. A rhythmic heartbeat was suddenly audible. The projection slowly descended and appeared in front of the two empresses and the Sky Dream Iceworm. How do you all feel? Sense my aura. Hui Yuhao had descended. Right now, he seemed to be completely formed from spiritual power. He was icy white in color, as if he were carved from ice. However, there was a dim golden glow around him. The Sky Dream Iceworm finally opened his mouth. He lifted his head and came over in front of Hui Yuhao. He complimented, over parity. Not bad, not bad. You can completely unleash the concrete material realm, and temporarily attain the concrete material realm. However, don't forget that you don't have much time. Although you won't be affected even if your spiritual self is gone, you'll still suffer short-term memory loss. Your spiritual sea will also be greatly affected. You'll need to recover for at least 3 months before you return to normal. That's why you need to return in 2 hours. At the same time, you can't transcend space with your actual body. Get it? Hui Yuhao nodded and said, "Don't worry, Brother Sky Dream. I know my limits. Also, I'm very eager to see how much we'll gain from tonight's show, and who'll be the main lead." As he finished speaking, he revealed a wide grin on his face. As he looked at the Sky Dream Iceworm, he sent him a message telepathically. As his back was facing the Ice Empress, she didn't discover anything. Hui Yuhao wasn't the guy that had to be protected by the Ice Empress and Sky Dream Iceworm anymore. He had grown up. He was no longer inferior to these 100,000-year and million-year soul beasts at the spiritual level. The Sky Dream Iceworm revealed a slightly weird look as he nodded at Hui Yuhao. After that, he grinned, revealing the smile of an iceworm. The luxurious carriages of the Duskwater Alliance finally stopped. At this point, they were in a western suburb 5 miles outside Radiant City. Hui Yuhao seemed to have woken up at the perfect time. When he opened his eyes, he seemed slightly lost. However, no one noticed that a distorted light pattern had surfaced between his eyebrows, as it disappeared right after it surfaced. "We've arrived," a voice declared from outside. Huang Jing disembarked from the carriage first, followed by He Kai-tu. He Kai-tu moved Hui Yuhao's wheelchair down first before setting him down in it. Hui Yuhao seemed to be in a daze. However, he returned to normal as the night breeze blew past him. He squinted and activated his spiritual detection. Hui Yuhao was slightly stunned. Tonight's event is really large-scale. He felt thousands of people around him. They were clearly separated into 3 regions in 3 different directions. The greatest difference between the 3 regions was the dress code of the people inside them, as they were all decked out in different colors. The Duskwater Alliance's camp was in front. To the front left were people in white warrior robes. To the front right, the people were clad in yellow. Chenin jumped off the carriage at this point and quickly introduced them. Tonight, all the senior members of the 3 underground organizations are here. All 3 parties regard this tournament highly, and they have all sent their strongest lineups to grace tonight's event. Those in white hail from the Alto Chamber of Commerce, while those in yellow are from the Common Alliance. Apart from these 3 parties, some notable families in Radiant City were also invited, as well as some rich clients who have wagered heavily on tonight's tournament. The only restriction that the 3 parties have is that there shouldn't be more than 1,000 guests from each side. The rest here are the spectators. Anyway, everything will be carried out fairly, so please do not worry. Hui Yuhao's lips moved slightly. For some reason, he felt that today's tournament was going to be fairer than the Continental Elite Youth Soul Master Tournament. At least the referee wasn't inclined towards any side. Perhaps profits were sometimes better than things that appeared to be very honorable, but were actually secretly deplorable. The 3 of them were led into the tournament venue by Chenin, under the protection of a bunch of men clad in black from the Duskwater Alliance. The western suburb area wasn't considered too shabby. The perimeter was surrounded by people from the 3 underground organizations, covering the entire venue. There were even people sent to seal the roads to prevent ordinary citizens from getting too close. Spectator stands had already been set up within this perimeter. There were 3 different spectator stands, each filled with bettors that had their money on tonight's tournament. There were other, even smaller circular spectator stands, which were closer to the core region. They were occupied by the members of the notable families who were here today, as well as reputable soul masters and soul engineers. The tournament ground was the most shocking. The circular stage in this tournament ground was just like a replica of the stage in the Continental Elite Youth Soul Master Tournament. It was also 100 meters in diameter, and there seemed to be protective barriers around it. The most hilarious thing was that there were also 3 resting areas around the stage, located in 3 different directions. If they were connected by straight lines, they would form a triangle. Hui Yuhao was brought to the resting area of the Duskwater Alliance. Nangong Wan and the third elder also came in. Hui Yuhao thought to himself, don't tell me there's only the 2 of them from the Duskwater Alliance. From how highly the Duskwater Alliance regards this tournament, there should be more senior members present. At this moment, the place had become quite rowdy. Before the tournament began, there wasn't a host to liven up the atmosphere. Those who were seated in the spectator seats and the VIP seats were all conversing with one another. The lighting in the venue was very good, soul lamps illuminating the entire place. As he saw all this, Hui Yuhao couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Soul tools should be used in the lives of ordinary people. No one does it better than the Sun Moon Empire. In this aspect, the other 3 empires on the continent are indeed lacking. This is a gap that cannot be closed by the strength of one individual, and it'll take time, too. Even if they've realized this now, they can only choose to play catch-up in terms of their military strength. The third elder whispered to Nangong Wan, I heard they've hired Class 9 soul engineers to hold the fort this time. On the 7-man committee, 3 belong to them, while we only have 2 from our side. The other 2 are neutrals. Will there be a problem? Nangong Wan laughed coldly and said, no. The vice-founder will bring elder brother, third brother, fifth brother, and sixth brother over later. Do you think we'll be scared of them? If not for the fact that we're giving face to the imperial family of the Sun Moon Empire, do you think the lowly Alto Chamber of Commerce and Common Alliance could challenge us? The profit distribution in this tournament is very important. The founder instructed us to strictly follow protocol. However, we should be able to gain flexibility in some areas with the vice-founder around. I'd really like to see if the people they've pulled over will dare to oppose us. The third elder also revealed a cold smile on his face, and nodded his acknowledgement gently. Although Hui Yuhao looked very calm, he was observing everything around him seriously. After he heard from Nangong Wan that there would be more senior members from the Holy Ghost Church coming later, he was secretly surprised by the strength and foundation of the Holy Ghost Church. However, he was also delighted, as there was bound to be a dispersion of the Holy Ghost Church's strength. When things happened, they were going to be in huge trouble. Right now, everyone from all 3 parties had already arrived. Someone came over to ask Nangong Wan something. After receiving his verification, all the lights were focused on the stage where an additional person had now appeared. This person was tall, broad, and extremely handsome. He wore a bright red, elegant formal suit. His golden hair was neatly combed, and his eyes seemed to sparkle. Greetings everyone, I'm your MC for tonight's grand final. My name is Lu Qi. The voice of this MC was rather pleasant, loud and husky. Along with his charming looks, he seemed quite likable. However, Hui Yuhao had already scanned him using his spiritual detection. Lu Qi was only an ordinary person. He had no soul power undulations. Tonight is the grand final of the Radiant City Elite Soul Engineering Tournament. The 9 competitors come from the Common Alliance, the Alto Chamber of Commerce, and the Duskwater Alliance. I believe all of you are familiar with the 9 of them. I shall not elaborate further. Let us now invite the 3 chairmen from the Common Alliance, the Alto Chamber of Commerce, and the Duskwater Alliance in the organizing committee to give their own speeches. In the resting area of the Duskwater Alliance, Nangong Wan looked very grim, as he muttered to himself, reckless. As he muttered to himself, he stood up and walked towards the stage. The third elder laughed coldly. This lowly thing from the Common Alliance is trying to court death with his stupid tricks. Does he really think the Common Alliance can protect him? Hui Yuhao and the rest only just realized that Nangong Wan was furious, because the MC had mentioned the Duskwater Alliance last. The Common Alliance controlled the sex industry of Radiant City. It was very normal to have such a host. However, this host's performance was rather normal. The self-entitled thinking of evil soul masters couldn't be understood through a normal person's eyes. Nangong Wan didn't reveal his cultivation. He slowly took the steps to ascend the stage. On the other two sides, there were also people ascending the stage. On the side of the Alto Chamber of Commerce, there was a middle-aged man roughly 40 years old. He was wearing a purple overcoat, and appeared very decent, with the aura of a powerful person. Just from his looks, it was very difficult to imagine him controlling an organization that was involved in piracy and murder. He seemed more like an official. He took long strides, and his eyes were very sharp. From the soul power undulations that he exuded, Hui Yuhao could tell that he possessed at least 8 rings. He had intentionally repressed his aura, but he should still be some ways off from a title Doluo. Compared to him, the representative from the Common Alliance was more eye-catching. She was a lady in a long, red dress. From afar, she appeared very beautiful. Her long maroon hair was rolled up into a bun above her head. As she walked, her body swayed in an elegant manner. She had a very holy look on her face, and seemed like a mortal masterpiece. Her slender waist and devilish figure made her extremely captivating. When she ascended the stage, many men started to salivate, their attention completely drawn to her. As he participated in the tournament, Hui Yuhao had developed a great understanding of the 3 underground organizations. The middle-aged man in the purple overcoat was the chairman of the Alto Chamber of Commerce, and Litong. Opposite him, the woman was the Common Alliance master, Shangguan Weia, who controlled the sex, food, and beverage industries in Radiant City. Hui Yuhao had heard from Chen and that this lady was very powerful. Many strong individuals had fallen to her before. While she still seemed very alluring, she had in fact been the Common Alliance master for 40 years. No one knew her actual age. Her cultivation was above an Litong's. The backers of the Common Alliance even included some of the nobility in Radiant City. As for the Duskwater Alliance, Nangong Wan represented the imperial family of the Sun Moon Empire. Because of this, the Duskwater Alliance was able to exert their dominance over the other 2 organizations. However, the other 2 organizations also represented people that hailed from the higher strata of society. Even the imperial family couldn't completely suppress these people. Although the Common Alliance and Alto Chamber of Commerce knew that the Duskwater Alliance was composed of evil soul masters, they weren't afraid, as they knew they had strong backers behind them. It was under such a premise that this tournament was organized. On the surface, it seemed as if the tournament was a ruse by the 3 organizations to earn profits from tourists, but in fact, this tournament was very critical for each organization's authority. The Duskwater Alliance wanted to gain more control, while the Alto Chamber of Commerce and Common Alliance wanted to gang up on the Duskwater Alliance. After all 3 parties negotiated and reached an agreement, this fair tournament was held. Just like what Hui Yuhao felt, this underground tournament was even fairer than the Continental Elite Youth Soul Master Tournament. There were too many eyes watching. What was the greatest profit for all 3 underground organizations? Only the senior members of these organizations knew. They were given the opportunity to control the smuggling of rare metals. The Sun Moon Empire had banned the sale and purchase of rare metals. Because of this intervention, the rare metals had become very expensive. Under such circumstances, smuggling rare metals was a surefire way to earn massive profits. However, they couldn't earn this money openly, and the amount of rare metals they smuggled couldn't be too much, either. Even so, this was a business they had to have. Between the imperial family, the military, and the nobility, who didn't want to have a piece of the pie. This was what they were doing earlier, too. However, Xu Tianran had discovered all this as he slowly rose to power. The 3-way smuggling operation caused the loss of rare metals to exceed what the Sun Moon Empire wanted to happen. Xu Tianran was furious and made up his mind. He couldn't completely stop everything. The more he tried to restrain such smuggling operations, the greater the backlash he would receive. Moreover, he hadn't actually taken the throne yet, and didn't dare to completely offend the military and nobility. After pondering on the matter, he was the one who supported the underground tournament as a means of dealing with the authority held by the three underground organizations. Whoever won this tournament would be given full control of the rare metals smuggling operations. Of course, the winning party still had to hand over the dues that they owed to the other two parties. It was only fair that way. Compared to the other industries, the profits from smuggling rare metals were too attractive. All three parties vied for it. It was why the reward for winning this tournament was so lucrative. Of course, all this was conducted behind the scenes. Not only was Hu Yuhao unaware, but the rest of the Seoul engineers in the tournament, including Huang Jing, didn't know about this either. To Xu Tianran, it was a way for him to control the underground organizations. He had to have a hand in smuggling rare metals, too. How could he do so? Through the Duskwater Alliance, or rather, the Holy Ghost Church. He was determined. Lu Qi smiled as he stood at one side. He guided the leaders of the three underground organizations to the center of the stage. Let's invite the three chairmen to give their speeches. First, let's invite the Duskwater Alliance Master, Nangong Wan, to give his speech. Although Nangong Wan wanted to kill Lu Qi, he didn't show it on the stage. He said, "This tournament is jointly organized by all three organizations. I think we can consider this a contribution to the industry of the empire, and it's going pretty well, too. Tonight, the Duskwater Alliance is determined to win. I also believe that our competitors are capable of doing so, but the championship will belong to us. For those who have yet to bet, you might want to consider us." After he finished speaking, he stepped back as a sign that he had finished. The second to speak was An Litong. He glanced at Nangong Wan and gave a pretentious smile. It seems like Master Nangong is very confident. However, I don't concur with you. The representatives from the Alto Chamber of Commerce are all elites from the younger generation of Seoul engineers. I'm absolutely confident in them. Right here, I'll represent the Chamber of Commerce and stake 10 million gold Seoul coins on them to win. As long as any of them wins, I'll donate the profits to everyone. As he said this, everyone was shocked. 10 million gold Seoul coins. Even if they were priced at evens, the potential profit was still 10 million gold Seoul coins. It was an astronomical figure. Even the Snow Emperor's spirit couldn't be auctioned for such an astronomical figure. 10 million gold Seoul coins was undoubtedly very attractive to Seoul engineers, who spent a lot of money. The Alto Chamber of Commerce wasn't just showing off their wealth. They were also showing off their determination to win. Suddenly, many bettors started to become more inclined towards them. At this moment, Shangguan Weia laughed slightly. She walked up and said, "The two of you are really confident. I can't lose to you, am I right? The Common Alliance isn't as rich as the Alto Chamber of Commerce. We don't have 10 million gold Seoul coins, and we can't bear to part with such a huge amount of money either. However, we have beauties. Whichever Seoul engineer from our side that wins will be given the autonomy to choose any beauty that he wants. At the same time, I'll give him 3 female dragons who have ancient bloodlines as slaves. They are all virgins." Female dragons. After hearing these 2 words, He Kai-tu, Huang Jing and even Mok were confused. However, Hu Yuhao looked shocked instead. As the first person in Shrek Academy who was trained in the ultimate soldier plan, he had gleaned knowledge from different aspects. He had once heard Elder Mu mention female dragons before. What were they? They were special creatures that were half human and half beast. However, only the faces of female dragons resembled humans. They had scales on their bodies. However, their scales would disappear during sex. When that happened, the female dragons would reveal their stunning beauty. Once humans copulated with them, they could absorb the essence of the dragon blood in these female dragons and change their body constitution. This would gain them a dragon's blood and aura within their own blood. It would help them evolve their martial souls once, and this evolution was bound to be beneficial. It was just that such female dragons were very rare. They were only found in deep mountains and marshlands. Furthermore, they were all protected by curses of bad luck. The first person to catch them would suffer from this curse and die. As a result, there were very few people who could find and lay their hands on them. However, the Common Alliance was able to find 3 female dragons. This was unbelievable to Hui Yuhao. Female dragons didn't really help those whose martial souls were already very strong all that much. However, they were invaluable to soul engineers. Many soul engineers consumed medicine and pills to enhance their martial souls. However, such medicine and pills often contained impurities. When their cultivation reached a certain level, they would find it very difficult to improve further. Some of them might even suffer from side effects. If they could copulate with a virgin female dragon, these problems would cease to exist. The power of a female dragon's bloodline could remove the impurities in their bodies and evolve their martial souls. They wouldn't face any barriers as they advanced to become titled Doluo. Yes, 10 million gold soul coins was a lot of money. However, money couldn't buy a female dragon. Female dragons were too valuable for soul engineers. Regarding dragon ladies, Hui Yuhao didn't need to explain them to He Kai-tu and Huang Jing. Lu Qi was already going on about what they were. After hearing his words, Hui Yuhao could clearly sense Huang Jing's breathing getting heavier and heavier. On the contrary, He Kai-tu seemed very calm. Hui Yuhao subconsciously nodded at He Kai-tu. He Kai-tu revealed a smiling intent with his eyes. Although he didn't say anything, the answer was evident. Xiao Xiao, you were right to choose Second Senior as your partner. The 3 underground organizations took turns to express their stand, but without a doubt, Shangguan Weiya stole the limelight. Nangong Wan paled. However, he wouldn't step up to speak again at this point. Furthermore, he couldn't reveal that the Duskwater Alliance was willing to offer a Class 9 stationary soul cannon shell. This proved one thing: in order to stand out, they had to act later than the rest. Nangong Wan returned to the resting area and turned to look at Hui Yuhao. He said, I want you to try your best to kill whoever they send up. You can use whatever abilities you have. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility. Young man, do your best. When this tournament is over, you'll benefit greatly for sure. I'll get one of the female dragons that Shangguan Weiya mentioned for you, too. Hui Yuhao was a little stunned. He didn't know Nangong Wan regarded him so highly. However, it was expected. When he defeated Mok earlier, his evil soul master tactics had convinced Nangong Wan completely. Part 1 end here.